All right, supporting black business, y'all. We got the fly. Ooh, look at that. Oh my goodness, we got the fly all white with the Malcolm X on it. I'm gotta cop that. And who am I copping it from? Wait a minute. Who's this? Oh my goodness. Wait a minute. Is that Brother Blue Pill? Brother Blue Pill? All right, brother. You want to say something to the camera right quick, brother?
Peace to the family, peace to you and yours. We are out here in Texas and Houston. It's an honor to be out here. Love the family, love the energy. You know what I'm saying? And you know, what other better venue than to debut our Shining Prince?
Okay. Now, what is your clothing label called?
This is my parent company. It's called Paranormal, but this line in particular is called Legend.
Okay.
And we are honoring our timeless legends. You know what I'm saying? Our immortals. We're immortalizing our heroes, and we're allowing people to support the iconography and let people see where they're at. You know what I'm saying? Coming through pretty clean and mean.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I gotta support you. Let me break bread for my dude. Oh yeah, we breaking bread for my dude all day. Here you go, brother, man. And hey, like I said to the fam, Brother Blue Pill, Brother Red Pill, they're doing a service to the community. God bless you, brother. All right, I'm just trying to get a word. If you had one thing to say to everybody right now, whether it be black, white, you know what I'm saying, what would you say right now? 30 seconds.
No doubt. Ready?
Yeah, I'm watching.
Level up. That's what I would say. Level up. You know, we live in a new day, new time. It's all about getting into your higher self, leveling up. Don't be comfortable where you at. Stagnation is it's a trait for death. You know what I mean? That's a telltale sign that you're not ready to evolve. So level up, aka evolve, aka tap into the times that you live in the future right now. So act like it. You know what I mean? We in the future, niggas is acting like they're in the 60s. So level up.
just got out of the streets. This was about 2001, 2002, 2003. I was just trying to figure out how to navigate into, it wasn't even a conscious community yet. You know what I'm saying? What it was, we was coming on the tail end of what this brother was doing with dead press. So every time when I got out of the streets, I got into journalism. I had a hip hop newspaper, so I was approaching quote unquote consciousness through the venue of dealing with rappers, right? Interviewing them and asking questions that nobody ever seems to ask. And they all used to be like, damn, why nobody ever asked me this? I've been waiting for somebody to ask me this for the longest. And what I found out through my inquiries was a lot of them was just expressing trauma. You know what I'm saying? Their mothers had been smoking, or, you know, something in their lives happened, and instead of dealing with it or having an outlet, they exasperated that pain by becoming the #1 D-boy, even if just on wax. They emulated the very thing that was helping in their destruction, to equalize it. That's how they deal with the pain, right? So I used to, from the cut, you know what I'm saying, doing what we was doing, I used to always look at the brother Tahir. He used to always come through with Dead Prez. And Dead Prez was the entertainment. But he always was like a consigliere. You know what I'm saying? He'd be in the back and he would always be holding the fort. So I don't know if he knows, but I've told him before, I used to always observe this brother in the way that he moved, and he always carried himself in a dignified way, because the position that they were taking at that time, I don't want to say it wasn't necessarily popular. I saw the shift, that the tide kind of shift. You know what I'm saying? But initially, you know, 2000, people was just coming off of their mafioso phase in hip hop, shiny suits, and things of that nature. And these brothers was representing culture. You know, Stickman told me he wasn't consciousness. He's like, we ain't conscious rappers. So I get it. But the culture was there. Culture was intact. You know what I'm saying? So I observed the brothers from a distance, and I always, you know, considered him 800 feet tall. He was always a giant in my eyes, just because of how he carried himself. And every time I would move around the country and I would meet people who were rooted in the culture, right? They would always bring this brother's name up. You know what I'm saying? And they always have dignified things to talk about. So when you emulate a person, you don't copy them, right? You extract things from them to say, wow, when I grow up, that's what I want to be like. So I kind of took that directive and made sure that wherever I moved, and whatever circles I was in, that I was leaving things that people can speak about, you know what I'm saying, that was worthy of emulation, okay? So when people and the children and the young ones in particular, you know, they come to us and they say, we watch your videos, and y'all taught us something, or you represent something that they can identify with, you know, I'm not like some of these other dudes out here that, you know, instead of putting a pack in their pocket like they was doing on the block back in the days, you know what I'm saying? There's other things that people are doing to abuse those very people, to look up to them at this particular point, you know? But because of where we come from, like I said, the fact that I can openly admit that I had to look towards somebody to say, wow, this is how this thing should be done, then we pass it down to the young one in the same way. You know, you have a unique expression that the world needs to see. You know, you have your own colors. It might not be red and blue for you, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, if there's anything that we can offer that we do represent, we're reachable, you know what I'm saying? We're relatable. You know, you can reach us on the phone. Some people can't even believe that. A lot of these other dudes, we gotta go through 4 or 5 people. You feel me? You might have to give a pint of blood before they call you back. Or half of your refund. So we make sure that it's relatable, because we come from where y'all come from. You know what I'm saying? We come from the street, but at the same time, you know, us being Sadie's stepchildren, we were right there when all of the magic was taking place, you know, and we saw the fact that, you know, there really wasn't a platform for it at that time. Like I said, there was not a thing called consciousness. There wasn't a community. You know, we watched Sadie and our mother get chastised, damn near, by other people in the community. Like, you know, if you think that some of the shit that these people are doing is weird today, that shit was very weird back then. Because there was no one else doing it and they weren't taking popular positions. They were going against what the popular positions was. So Sabi wasn't trying to make friends. So automatically he made enemies. You know what I'm saying? Nobody was trying to help. You know, it was them alone, but them having that core system, them having a family system, they were able to do the impossible. And now it's a thing of legend. You know what I'm saying? So that's our vision for this community, because we saw it done and we saw people that was able to stay steadfast with a vision and a mission, and then the whole world ultimately opened up to him. I think that, you know, for Sabi, his last year of life might have been his most gratifying, because he was able to become fully immersed into social media and actually reach young people. He was always about reaching young people, you know what I'm saying? So he lived to see what it is that he wanted, you know, out of his dedication. You know, we could say that Dr. Valentine will have now lived to see, you know, what he always wanted to see. He always wanted to reach the youth. You feel me? So we took it upon ourselves to make that happen. You know what I'm saying? We helped build what has become known as the conscious community, to give that man a stage where he could talk to other people the way that he spoke to us, and woke us up to some of this information. So we could stop thinking that we were the only ones thinking like this. And we could stop having in our mind that we were outsiders and there was nothing, or outcasts, and there was nothing relatable. A lot of people think like you think and feel how you feel. They're just not open with it. They're not speaking about it. They're not forefront because it's not the thing yet. It's not popular. You know what I mean? Their favorite rap, they ain't make a song about it. So they're sitting on it. You know what I mean? Or they just still might have an issue at home, you know, bringing that information to the family like the sister was talking about earlier, and losing that support system. And now being forced to go outside and fend for yourself. That's a very uncomfortable situation. But sometimes only in those situations can you find yourself. You feel me? Sometimes you have to be forced outside of the nest to learn how to fly. Okay? So I did the same thing with him. Okay? When I came into the information, he wasn't ready. You know, he just came home from being incarcerated. He still was part of that, you know, dynamic. He still had that mentality. And I'm like, we don't gotta go back. You know, this information has a saving grace element to it. Because we know that we're bigger than this. You know what I'm saying? We know that we have something to offer. I had dreams that I used to share with him as a youth about doing the very things that we're doing right now. And he used to be, you know, slightly skeptical. Slightly. You couldn't see it, but I could always see it. And I'd be like, look, let's just remain on course, and what it is that we have to contribute, it will be contributed. And then, you know what I'm saying? We open the door, and then we bring forth other people in their contribution. So tonight, we're going to venture into the latest chapter of this brother's contribution in regards to his Fear of a Black and More Messiah lecture series, which I feel is paramount. I feel in these days and time, there's nothing else that we need more now so than current news, current information about what's going on, to give you the eyesight that you need so you can see in the dark. So with that said, please, family, give a warm hand and welcome our brother, Redford.
Whoop, whoop.
All right. Peace to the family. This is how we're going to have to do it for right now. Unfortunately, yeah, because of, I don't know. I'm not going to come up with no excuse. There's no projector. You feel what I'm saying? You know, there's no projector. So I'm going to have to read off of my presentation, you know what I mean? And I only got 30 minutes. So I got to run through the information, get it to the family as quick as possible, and just hope that we get what we got to get. By a show of hands, how many people saw the movie Get Out? I should have had the bootleg. This is a movie that is required viewing for anybody in consciousness at the end of the day, because there's certain conversations and narrative that we have to be privy to in order to do what? Save our people. But we gotta save ourselves first, because you can't save nobody until you save. And people think that saving means that, you know, you don't curse anymore. You dig what I'm saying? You're obedient to every, no. We have to remove ourselves from a mentality that was thrust upon us by people who don't live by what they say. You dig what I'm saying? So that's not saving yourself. Saving yourself is knowing that you are in search of your higher self. By any means necessary, you're on a path of enlightenment. You may have come from a dark place. You may need balance in your life. What's balance? Balance is the balance between light and dark. You just may be too dark. You dig what I'm saying? And you may have to find a balance, and by doing that, then you could venture forth into this land of light that, you know, they talk about. I haven't found it yet. I don't know where it's at. But the movie Get Out is a must-see because it speaks about so many different things that we've been talking about. One of the most important things that we've been talking about is getting out. Getting out of what? Getting out of your nigga mind. Getting out of your coon mind. Getting out of the middle. What's the middle? The middle is where they keep putting us. The liberal European and the white supremacist or the white extremists. Right? The one who shows you their fangs and the one who hides them. But they keep putting us right in the middle, Hegelian dialect. Vote for Trump or vote for Hillary. Okay? The choice between a gunshot and a stab wound.
Yeah.
Right? That's what we were left with. So the movie is showing you, nah, you're dealing with a different group of people or a different race of people who never atoned for their atrocities.
Speak on it.
They never get no therapy. They never atone for it. They didn't even take a break.
Nope.
They calmed down from the savagery. But then we integrate it into their system. Right? What happens when you integrate milk into coffee?
Weak.
It gets weaker. When integration took place, how many Europeans, or I call them pilgrims, because I'm just trying to be grammatically correct, right? I don't know if they're Europeans. Because the Grimaldis, these were Africans who were called the first Europeans. There's stories about these pilgrims or Neanderthals being marched across the sands into Europe, into the caves of Europe. So that means that they weren't indigenous to Europe. So what we see is a lot of our people going inside of their world, and you don't understand their culture. You don't even understand where they come from. You might be dating a pilgrim and don't know his quote-unquote European descent. Meaning you don't know if he's a German, you don't know if he's a Frank, you don't know if he's from Italy. That means a lot. You dig what I'm saying? You don't know if he's Austrian, because where they come from, and that deals with the whole psyche of them. They may be direct descendants of a cave culture. They may be direct descendants of a cannibalistic culture. They may be direct descendants of a pedophilia culture, where it's the culture. A homosexual culture where, yeah, you see it with their wives and all of that in the mall, but in their culture, as a result of how they were brought up, they don't see pedophilia the same way that an African may see it. So Get Out is showing you that you're amongst these people, you don't know the game. You're not on code. You don't know what's going on behind closed doors with them. As our brother Tahir showed us earlier, he's into what is known as occult sciences. Occult sciences are what the practices that individuals do behind closed doors. Occult means hidden. So I'm not dealing with my culture in an occult way. I'm wearing it out front. I'm not fronting, you know what I'm saying, with some European jeans on, you know, trying to get along and trying to fit, and then behind closed doors, I dust off the arm. You know, I got my little man cave and whatnot with the light up, with the lava lamp that's King Tut, and I turn into a comedic dude. I'm online with my new, you know, kingly moniker. No, I'm living this. This is my lifestyle. I'm not hiding who I am. I was in the airport with the Cowboys in Dallas. They was very uncomfortable with my display. I felt it. Okay, they was looking at me like, because one of their things is, if they can't identify you, there's a problem.
True.
Niggas got felony looks. You know what a felony look is? It's your pants right here. You know what I'm saying? You walking like a penguin. You know, you just got the felony look. They are used to that look. They can now surmise
by scanning that person, nah, that nigga's a felon. Watch out. You dig what I'm saying? Sometimes they get surprised and, oh, you're a ball player, my bad. Wear a suit. Remember, Allen Iverson made them change the dress code. They had to present themselves in that manner with a suit on. So they had to begin to categorize them. If we see a tall nigga with a suit, he's NBA. He's good. He's safe. Okay, tall nigga with pants low, I don't know about him. You know what I'm saying? Watch out. So if they can't figure you out, there's a problem. They get uncomfortable. That's where this whole terrorism and watch out and see something, say something, this war on Islam. They didn't say war on Arab. Keep that in mind, because everybody getting all hyped like, yeah, they going after the dude in the gas station, and when they deport him, maybe I could take his job. You dig what I'm saying? No, it's a war on Islam. I self-law master. It's a war on what the North Africans brought into Europe when the Moors came. It's what they brought to America when these Europeans came, and they got risen up by people who were already here that were dealing with sciences that were very high. The first nation to do business with America all the way back in the 1600s was Morocco. So how could you have this war on Islam? It is a historical battle between the European nations that identify themselves as Christendom and the African nations that identify themselves as Islamic nations. Look at the 7 nations that he blocked. They're from Africa. He didn't block Saudi Arabia, and the bombers were from Saudi Arabia. They blocked the countries that they're in secret wars with right now, droning babies, you know what I mean, blowing up villages, Yemen, Somalia, Sudan. But all of these places go back to ancient Kemet, the ancient Moors. All of this stuff that the conscious community is walking around talking about. Oh, Palo Mayombe, Congo, and all of this other stuff. All of these places, they're bombing them to smithereens right now. They're in the Sudan, getting busy. They're in Somalia, getting busy. They was in Mali, cleaning people up. Afghanistan, Cairo, all of these places have historical connotation to our who we are, our DNA. You resonate to the land where your DNA is strong in. You dig what I'm saying? So when you do your DNA test, the shit might come back Iraq. You like, God damn it, what the hell? I'm not no Iraqi. Not knowing that the original Arabs, the Arabians, when the Arabian Peninsula was connected to part of Africa, they were blue-black with wavy hair. You feel what I'm saying? So we don't even really know sometimes who we're dealing with because we don't understand history. We have to begin to study both our history and their history, because one thing that they're doing, and I could show you beyond a reasonable doubt, they are moving with they're moving with the science of knowing that time is not linear. It goes into cycles. They're not moving like, oh, that's just the past, get over it. No, they're moving on some old, yo, if we bomb that shit today, we can affect the past. And they keep showing you in the movies. The last one was X-Men. What was that?
Days of Future Past?
Yeah, Days of Future Past. So Dr. Phil Valentine just did a lecture last weekend where he was showing the Mandela defect, how they're manipulating time with the Large Hadron Collider and other things. I don't want to get too difficult. They're manipulating time with slave movies. They're manipulating time with the Roots reboot. You understand? They're manipulating time that every single time that we see ourselves in the 60s, 50, 40, 30, 20, we like this. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. We wearing tattered clothes, right? Looking like homeless people of today, right? The dudes are kind of sweet, very feminine, like the dudes of today. The sisters are subservient and very obedient, like today. So remember, if I took a Becky to the movie theater to go watch 12 Years a Slave, they're watching it from 2 different reference points. She's watching it, identifying with the slave owner or his daughter, and I'm watching it, identifying with Solomon North. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to identify with the slave master per se. So make America great again. Now you have a situation where for the past 30 years, past 40 years, they've been socially engineering our people to accept a past that really wasn't relevant. We're in Texas right now. You know how many gunfights took place in Texas between black cowboys who was dusting off white cowboys? You know how many, do you know about the Seminole Wars, the Gullah Geechee Wars, 1, 2, and 3 that they did not win? that took place in Florida. And when you read the journals, what's the description? Copper tone complexion. Copper tone is this. This is copper, and this is the tone. Copper tone complexion. People with long locks that were matted down their backs with gold in their mouth. Who that sound like? Then you have mound. This is a mound civilization. Okay? This here is a mound civilization in Texas, a mound culture, right? And you may not know that the Olmecs are indigenous to this land, the whole Gulf region coming down from Mexico. That's why you can't tell the Mexico that he got to leave. He's like, I'm about to pull our receipts on you. This is our land. Texarkana, what the hell is that? So they know this is their land. They understand the battles that took place, the treaties that got signed and whatnot. When they excavated the mounds, they found Olmecs with copper breastplates, big copper breastplates, headbands, 8 feet tall. Skeletal muscles where they could put the skull over their heads. The Smithsonian took all of those skulls, all of those skeletons. They were surrounded by indigenous stones like amethyst inside of these mounds. These mounds have energy. These mounds have banks on top of them now, churches on top of them now. They're energy centers.
You turn them into landfills.
Yeah, landfills and things of that nature. So the whole Mississippian culture, the Gulf Coast region, all of that is us. All of that. But if they don't show us that, and they show us along the 13 colonies, which were all coastal, but they're not giving you no depictions of what was taking place inside America. A good movie to see was DiCaprio.
Revenant?
No, the last one he got nominated for. Revenant. The European, right, was at war with the French, but they was at war with the Spanish. They was on a run from the indigenous Indians. He was on a run from the French. So you had situations in America, or the landmass of the United States of America before it became this corporation, where the European could not leave those 13 colonies. He would get beheaded or enslaved by other people who was out there catching wreck. That's where a lot of these treaties and whatnot came in. So you understand? Because remember, the lion is inside of a cage, and they got a wall up right here. This nigga won't jump. He will not jump over the little wood and make his way out. Like, yo, I'm going to just run through the highway. He won't do it. Here we are as a people, it's this little wall right here. We keep coming up with every excuse to jump the wall. We keep coming up with every excuse why not. We don't want to go forward. So her thing was, she was hypnotizing him, and her thing was sinking to the floor, and she sent him into the place called the sunken place. Okay? Our people in Houston, in the Bronx, in Brooklyn, in Atlanta, in Detroit, in St. Louis, in Texarkana, they're in a sunken place right now. They're in their lower self. These niggas are savages. They got it. You know what I mean? I don't know what the hell is going on. They are trying to out-savage the original savage. It's going to be hard, but they trying. You feel me? They trying to out-savage the European. And these warmongers, pedophilian, baby-eating, reptilian-like people is looking at these little niggas like, well, look at our sons. Look at little Elroy and them trying to be like us. They want to be savage. We're going to show them what a savage is. Okay? Because I don't think they know what a savage is. So the sunken place, that's where she took them to. When we go to school, what's your name again, beloved? Jasmine. This is you at 5 years old, right? This is you at 6 years old. Your 7 years are your most impressionable years. At 6 years old, your teacher who you trust, because she told you your A, B, C's, and D's, right? She told you that D was for dog. She said that you came from Africa as a slave. And you didn't contribute anything to humanity or mankind. And you got to look outside and see all of these big buildings, autonomous cars driving themselves and all of this other stuff. And they told you, and she put you into the sunken place. It was like you didn't contribute anything. So much that we had to come and domesticate and capture you, put you in this zoo. That's trauma on an African mind who you have another part of you, your original God self that's innate. It's not outside of yourself. That's the spell when they got you looking outside of self. When the God inside of you is like, it's a lie, she's lying, she's putting you under a spell. You in a sunken place. You understand? You all at your job and whatnot, and they talking crazy to you. You and yourself. Look at this. So they call it a horror movie, but it's a thriller. The only thing that was horror to it was he was killing white people in the movie. That's the horror part of facts. And he exposed these social demons or the horrors of the European. That's why they labeled it a horror. It's a thriller. It ain't horror where people get chopped up and all of that. It's not that. It works on your mind. But it has, like I said, it's multiple layers. Look at this Negro's face. Look at the guy in the corner. He used to be a thug in Brooklyn. Okay? I know Negroes like that.
Uh-oh.
Okay? So, in the depiction, they show people crying. Because inside of them is their original self. They have a thing where they're taking their brains out and putting white people's brains in the body, in the black body, which is genetic. And the whole movie is about genetics. They touching him. Oh, you so strong. You so healthy looking. Look at your teeth. Like the NFL Combine. Measuring them up, which comes on tomorrow. Right? Measuring them up. Sizing them up. Weighing his balls. Right? Talking about all of the things. Like how they touch your hair, sisters. Right? Like how the Becky smack your butt. You know what I mean? How did you get that? Where did you get that from? Right? How they are basically taking these melatonin pills. Right? How the uterus, the fetus, the placenta is being taken from you and being made into melatonin pills. How that's higher on the market than gold. All of these things. All of the plastic surgery that's taking place with the Kardashians. Right? Or this whole plastic culture. The Nicki Minaj's, rest in peace to her. Right? All of that. Right? Got you going crazy. So your original self is trapped inside of this new person, this robot, this drone, this zombie. Right? It has all of these spells. This in a sunken place. Now they're dragging you into their lane, and you can't outdo the savage. But like he said, this in their blood, they Neanderthal. You not. So if you're not functioning in your proper persona, I feel sorry for you. You know what I'm saying? Nobody can save you. You can't even get out. I gotta breeze through this because you know we're against time. He wanted to push it into an even darker territory, but you know, probably the people that was bankrolling it was like, nigga, that's enough. You cannot go all the way in. Stop that. You know what I mean? Jordan Peele on the truly terrifying monster racism. So it's a horror movie where racism is the monster. That's the analogy. So when you watch it, it's multi-layered. Racism is the monster. Okay? That's the horrifying boogeyman. Alright? He's mixed, he's married to a Neanderthal, but like I said, he's privy to conversations at the dinner table that me and you are not. Being biracial, he has two nations in his bosom. They hear things that you don't hear. They in the car seat like, oh, these niggas is going in. Or niggas. You know what I'm saying? Like, they hear it all. You don't necessarily get to hear, these are occult conversations, behind the closed door type of shit. You understand? They teach their children differently than they teach you in your schools. The same way that you're supposed to be teaching your child behind closed doors inside of your temple, different than what they learn in school. Revelation 18:4. Then I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, lest you take part in her sins, lest you share in her plagues. Okay? Then I heard another voice calling from heaven, come away from her, my people, do not take part in her sins, or you will be punished with her. You got niggas out here trying to wave a Trump flag around me. They want to make America great again with Trump. They want to convince me that I should do the same. I'm like, bro, this is my exit. Like, I'm on the way out of here. You understand? I've had enough. This was the fucking pinnacle to it all. Okay? I'm not going to give them any more of my energy. I'm not going to believe them. I'm not going to believe in them anymore because I know the power of belief. I know that consciousness is about awareness, but it's also, when they deal with quantum physics, consciousness is whatever you pay your attention to. So all of the people paying attention to this theater, to this rodeo, you know what I'm saying? To this tragedy, you're giving it power. Charging it. Get out. Get out of that conversation. You making it real. She's having fun and seeing where things can go. Laura Dern is dating Common and has already introduced her to her kids. Get out, nigga.
Common, huh? When did that happen?
And she ugly.
When did this happen?
And she ugly.
Okay, so he's doing Agent 008 job, right? Yeah, no doubt. He's like, yo, I'm gonna take one for the team. I'm gonna rock with Laura Dern, who's like 60.
Let me learn, right?
Exactly. Because I want to learn about her. I don't know about that. I think whatever he needed to learn about white people, he should already learn. This is common. His name is Rashid, right? His mama raised him with the knowledge. She's from Chicago, with the deep part of Chicago, where the brothers is, you know what I mean? I don't know about that. I think that he went to Los Angeles, California, got hypnotized.
MK Ultra.
I promise you, I swear to God. I think now, because that's what Kris Kardashian is doing. Every nigga who walked in that house to come and date their daughters, she's speaking to their pain body. That's what they did in the movie. She spoke to his pain body. The main character lost his mother as a child. That's exactly what she went into. What do white people say? Tell me what's wrong with you.
Mm-hmm.
What's the problem? Let's talk. So I feel that if somebody signs a $10 million contract, a $100 million contract, becomes part of these billion-dollar corporations, inside of that contract is a clause that nigga, you need therapy. You got to get hypnotized. You might not know it, but you got to sit down with one of our people. You dig what I'm saying? And then they get right at your ass. You want to get down with a talent agency? Of course they got to analyze your brain. Of course there has to be some kind of behavior modification taking place because you could become a threat. So they're like, yo, if we sign you up to be part of this blockbuster shit, you're going to have to sit down with us. Scientology, clear, right? A lot of people was going up in Scientology to get cleared. That's a form of mind control. 5 reasons Henrietta Lacks is the most important woman in medical history. Just to show you briefly how they eat off of us. How they feed off of us. Okay? In 1951, Henrietta Lacks, a poor woman in middle school education, made one of the greatest medical contributions ever. I'm talking about ever. Her cells, taken from a cervical cancer biopsy, became the first immortal human cell line. The cells reproduce infinitely in the lab, meaning that you watch vampire movies and they say that they can live forever. Well, goddamn it, that's what they're telling you. Immortal cells. The body dies, but the cells don't. And they've been replicating themselves since the 50s. This is one of the things. Before HeLa cells, scientists spent more time trying to keep cells alive than performing actual research on the cells. An endless supply of HeLa cells freed up time for discovery. In 1952, the worst year of the polio epidemic, HeLa cells were used to test the vaccine that protected millions. 3, some cells in Lacks tissue sample behave differently than others. Scientists learned to isolate one specific cell, multiply it, and start a cell line. Isolating one cell and keeping it alive is the basic technique for cloning and in vitro fertilization. A scientist accidentally poured a chemical on a HeLa cell that spread out its tangled chromosomes. Later on, scientists used this technique to determine that humans have 46 chromosomes, 23 pairs, not 48, which provided the basis for making several types of genetic diagnoses. It was discovered that Lacks cancerous cells used an enzyme called telomerase to repair their DNA, allowing them and other types of cancer cells to function when normal cells would have died. Anti-cancer drugs that work against the enzyme are currently in early clinical trials. Immortal cells of an unknown woman that made it to space. They had to coat the NASA shuttle with her cells in order to leave. They could not leave the goddamn atmosphere until they put melanin from this lady, this sister, this black goddess on their space shuttles. And then they showed you in Hidden Figures that they couldn't come up with the mathematical computation to leave the atmosphere without what? Using the black women in the basement who they call computers. Come on, man. And they treat us like shit. And we running around taking menial jobs and, you know what I mean, trying to run them and ask them what they could do for us. And look at you. You're doing for the world. All right? Once again, off of your backs. This is where they standing on. Among the samples they compared for the journey were cultures of bacteria, human cancerous cells known as HeLa. Whenever you see H-E-L-A, that's short for Henrietta Lacks. They call it the HeLa cells. And Oprah, Mama Oprah, is making a movie about Henrietta Lacks. She's going to play her daughter, so you will get to see the movie and the depiction from Oprah's standpoint, okay? Because she understood the power of that story, right? The strange link between human mind and quantum physics. I wanted to get deeper into this, but it's talking about how they are basically programming our brains, how they're programming the minds, because consciousness is all is mental. All right? So if they have you under psychological operations, which is known as psyops, if the media is in bed with Trump, if you ain't picked that one up by now, I don't know what to tell you. But they're playing a game. So if everybody's on code and you're not, so if they're playing a psyops on you and they're about to pull another 9/11 or false flag event because the same shit that he's going through is what Bush went through. Very unpopular. All of these protests. Nobody was feeling them. They was catching on that he was a retard. And then 9/11 hit. He was the president of the year. Niggas forgot. They became patriotic, put on their dipset American flags. They was American. Political beliefs are hardwired into the brain, say neuroscientists. So if he a Republican, he's going to die one. Okay? The far right's new fascination with the Middle Ages. This is important because it talks about the fear of a black and white Messiah. The fact that Richard Spencer, the alt-right, Steve Bannon, the people who are pulling the strings on Trump and a few other people that you see in power now, they are infatuated with what is known as the Middle Ages. What was the Middle Ages? The Dark Ages. What was the Middle Ages? The Reconquista. What was the Middle Ages? The Crusades. What was the Middle Ages? The Inquisition. Everything that you see taking place right now, they was banning Muslims from coming into Europe after they reconquered it, called the Reconquista. They expelled the Jews and expelled the Muslims, the capitulation of the Moors and the Jews in the 1600s. Okay, where they closed their borders off, but then they built a wall and started killing the people inside of the Iberian Peninsula, and then they whitened Europe. That's why when you go into Spain and Portugal, it's all white now. It wasn't like that before. You go into Italy in different parts, they still got our blood in their veins, but they will vehemently deny it. You feel what I'm saying? The Sicilians and whatnot, but they had to whiten out the part of Rome where the Vatican and all of that is at. Because remember, people get all hyped. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You know, you could just sex them out of existence. No, white people know how to get whiter. No, what I'm saying is, when you see a redneck got red blood. The same way that the red man would turn red, his redneck is because he got that red blood. Remember, they mixed they mixed their blood with more genetically superior bloodlines in order to survive in the Americas. But then they were able to white themselves back up. Because a Becky could get with a brother, make an Obama, he gets with a Becky, they make a light-skinned, and then they whiten it down until you get lily white. Okay? So they could go back to white the same way that they could go and get darker and whatnot. You feel what I'm saying? But they took our blood in those sex forms. They mixed their lineages with ours. We had sacred, royal lineages, immortal cells in our bloodlines. They just telling you about Hila Lax because her family went super hard to make them tell you about her. They was denying everything for a lot of years. You feel what I'm saying? So they're not just disclosing the fact that you have a mortal bloodline. They take the blood when the baby's born. They take the placenta. They stabbing it with the vaccines. They traumatizing it, and they're going to run the motherfucking blood test like this immediately. When you get locked up, they're taking the blood and they're running it. They're trying to find out who you are DNA genetic-wise, because that's what it's all about. And that's what the movie showed you. It was about genetics, right? It was about genetics. The same way that they'll look at a horse.
That's a donkey, that's a thoroughbred. That's what the eugenics was about. He doesn't deserve to live. Look at his phenotype. Look at the base of his brain. It's not elongated. That nigga's a dummy. Get rid of him. Look at this species. That's why they had us lined up at the auctions and sizing us up. That's what the combine is doing. That's why the Beckys are going after the NFL players and going after the NBA players, and they showed you in that she was goddamn drafted. She had to line up for the draft. So that's why all of our brothers are married. They are conjoined with these women inside of the NBA. Who's Charles Barkley? That's not Charles Barkley. That's not the Charles Barkley I know. That's not the nigga I bought the sneakers from back in the day. Yeah, that's not Charles Barkley that was knocking dudes out. He been cloned. He's under a spell. And that spell will have you coded. So they on that Game of Thrones shit. Find out about that. Okay? Find out about that. That's what they on. The White Walkers and all that. They on their Game of Thrones. They on their, you know what I mean, fighting the Moors and all of that. That's what they're going back to. Okay? Four white nationalist groups giving nonprofit status, permission to raise $8 million in tax-deductible donations. This is your new America. All right? Trauma from slavery can actually be passed down through your genes. But what about the trauma that they did? Is that passed down through their genes? When they was killing us in front of 200, 2,000 people? When they was chopping us up? When they was raping our women? Is that in their genes? Is the fact that they were slaves as well, is that in their genes? Do they have post-traumatic slave disorder? When they look at you, you know what I'm saying? They feel a kind of way. Because if it's in our genes, it's in their genes. On face value, it's easy for a non-black person to wonder why African Americans, over a century removed from slavery, can still harbor such strong feelings from just watching a TV show. And to be fair, I think we can even wonder about ourselves sometimes. It's a question that has been tackled by some of the greatest and most eloquent writers, but apparently it's already addressed by a component of our society that many of us never expected: science. Dr. Yehuda, professor of psychiatry at Eaton School of Medicine at Mount Sinai, has conducted a depth of research into epigenetics and the intergenerational transmission of trauma. In layman's terms, she is researching how serious incidents of trauma, i.e. slavery, Holocaust, and post-traumatic stress disorder can be passed down through generations and shared family genes. Her research has revealed that when people experience trauma, it changes their genes in a very specific and noticeable way. So when those people have children and their genes are passed down to the children also inherit the genes affected by trauma. So when you're in school, when you're watching Roots, when you're watching all of these depictions of your trauma, of your rape, of your torture, of your pillage, of your murder, of your genocide, of your Holocaust, it's programming. They already did the science. This ain't new shit. This ain't not new. They just put it out. But the people that's doing these shows, they got the science. And that's what they apply. So they like, yo, we're going to traumatize these niggas. And then we're going to feed them the GMO foods. And then we're going to feed them the music that's going to traumatize them. And then we're going to show some black people getting killed on TV. And we're going to loop that shit. So now, the pain body has woken up in a lot of our people. We in a sunken place. We depressed. Women are dying of heart attacks. Brothers are dying of heart disease. Cancer's popping up. People don't even want to live anymore. The children don't know who they're going to be in the future. They're not forecasting. So we're not in a good place. Mentally, remember, mental slavery. Racist origins of psychology. Because if you see the whole psychology thing and you don't know that that shit comes from us and them experimenting on us, then you don't understand. Or if you're willing to go and let some people cut your brain or cut into your head or go into your head or give you psychotropic drugs, you're wilding. I'd rather them take a leg or something. If they play in your head, it's a wrap. It is a wrap. Ask Kanye. It is a wrap. There's no coming back from that. When they rock with your brain, they got you.
Show, little pillar.